My name is Jason, and this is Just Watches. Okay, today we have another interesting release from Timex. This is their Waterbury Dive Automatic in 40mm. Now this one came out around the same time as the Q Timex GMT, so I think it went a little bit under the radar, but I love the look of this, so I grabbed one to review. Now, before we get to that review, if you're enjoying the contents of this channel, I invite you to subscribe, and if you're enjoying the contents of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much. For price and availability, well, this watch is available on the Timex website and comes in 3 colorways, one of which is on a bracelet. The MSRP is $279 on a strap and $299 on the bracelet. However, this being Timex, you can usually wait for a sale of about 25 to 30% if you're patient. So the case is 40mm in diameter, 47 lug to lug. It's only 12.5mm thick, and then has a 20mm lug width opening. Now the case is pretty simple, but the finishing is quite good. There's brushing on the top of the case with a small high polish chamfer all around the edge of the case before transitioning back to brushing on the sides. The transition lines are sharp on the case, and I like the clipped lugs. The mid case is nicely flanked by the bezel and the case back, which results in a nice visual balance when viewing the watch from the side. This strap is a step up from what we usually get from Timex. It's actually co-branded Timex and SB Foot Tanning Company, which is an American producer of leather goods. The strap is thick and feels robust, and the backing is also thick and comfortable. The stitching is solid. The top is wrinkling slightly from use, but overall I would say that this is indeed better quality leather than we usually get from Timex. Now it starts at 20mm and tapers down to 17. The brush pin and buckle is signed with Timex. Finally, the strap utilizes quick release pins for easy strap changes. The screw down case back helps provide 100 meters of water resistance and has an exhibition case back with lots of information engraved around the edge. The Miyota 8000 series isn't too much to look at, but they did sign the rotor with Timex. And I think entry-level mechanical watches should always have exhibition case backs, as this will be many people's first mechanical watch, and it's always a lot of fun to see the movement when you're new to the hobby. This watch is powered by the Miyota 8205. This is a 21,600 vibration per hour automatic movement with hand winding but not hacking. It has a 42-hour power reserve and a stated accuracy of -20 to +40 seconds a day. It also has a quick set day and date. I'm glad to see they're using at least a Miyota in this watch at this price point, but I would very much like to see a Miyota 9000 series, but we'll get to that more in the pros and cons. The 6mm push-pull crown is nicely knurled and signed with the Waterbury logo. It is a nice size relative to the case, and it's large enough to easily operate this watch. Also, as this is more of a dive style watch than a true diver, I don't mind that they used a push-pull crown here. The flat mineral crystal is a touch proud of the bezel. Now I know Timex has used sapphire crystals before, and I would really prefer if they used one here and just charged a bit more, but you are stuck with mineral on this one on the front and the back. The 120 click unidirectional bezel is nicely knurled and tall enough to easily turn. The action is tactile with extremely consistent clicks. While it does line up at 12, there's a touch of backplay that then unaligns the bezel, unfortunately. The aluminum insert has a very interesting flat step before curving down towards the case. All the minutes are marked with dashes, with longer dashes for the hour positions. There's a triangle at 12, and then 15, 30, and 45 are displayed in Arabic numerals. The green dial has a really nice sunburst effect that plays with the light in dynamic ways. There's no chapter ring, rather there are dashes around the edge of the dial to represent the minutes, with thicker dashes for the hour positions. The indices are applied and are sort of a retro style with a brushed finish and a stripe of lume down the middle. We have Timex at 12 and the Waterbury logo, the Waterbury and automatic printed at 6. Finally, tucked around the 6 o'clock position is water resistance and 100 meters. The day and date window is cut into the dial at 3 with the slightest of chamfering around the edge. The amount of text on the dial is actually not bad, and I find the layout overall is extremely well balanced. I absolutely love this skeletonized pencil-style hour and minute hand. These two hands are flat and used a brush finish to match the indices. The minute hand is really long, reaching all the way to the very edge of the dial. There's a small amount of lume at the end of both the hour and minute hands. The second hand is also extremely long and finished in high polish with a stylized W for Waterbury as the counterbalance. This is a great handset, and I find skeletonized hands are very interesting when they overlap each other and other elements on the dial. Now, Timex lume is not very good, and worse, there's not much surface area for lume on the hands or the indices on this watch. The overall result is very poor lume, which isn't very useful, unfortunately. Now, this movement is seemingly keeping really good time at like +1 seconds a day, but you'll see it ramp up to about +9 or 10, so I don't know if it's still breaking in. I haven't really seen this behavior in the time grapher, but I will definitely keep an eye on it. And then with the crown up, it's losing about 12 seconds a day. It's actually been keeping quite good time on the wrist, so I think these two different positions competitions are kind of canceling each other out, but I also tend to switch my watches pretty often, so sometimes it's hard for me to get a long-term accuracy reading on them. And here is the watch on my 6 3/4 inch wrist, sweet spot for a wide variety of wrist sizes, and then you can see it's overall quite thin. It does ride a little bit up on the wrist because of that pronounced case back. So pros and cons, starting with the pros. Well, Timex is starting to make small improvements, and there's a number of them represented in this watch. This is the best leather strap I've seen from Timex, and the bezel action on this watch is actually really, really good. The overall design is cohesive and fun, and while not a true diver, you do get 100 meters of water resistance, which is going to make this a watch you don't need to worry about getting wet. As for cons, I would love to see this watch with better lume, a sapphire crystal, and maybe even a Miyota 9000 series, even if it upped the price of the watch slightly. That being said, I'm pretty sure Timex has dialed in their pricing structure, and I know they'll use the Miyota 9000 and sapphire crystal as they have done in their Giorgio Galli S1. So while I think their pricing is a bit on the high end relative to the competition, I think everything they make sells well, and I don't foresee it changing anytime soon. Speaking of that competition, it's pretty easy to find a diver with better specs at this price. Look no further than the Orient Kamasu, which will add hacking, a sapphire crystal, and 100 more meters of water resistance. The new 5KX, which only comes with a mineral crystal but does have hacking, or the Citizen Pro Diver, which you can get a very cool Eco Drive version or a mechanical if you desire. That being said, there's something fun about these Timex automatics that keeps drawing me in. I get excited when they get released on their site in a way I don't really get excited for other brands. So even though I don't think they represent a very good value, they're just really fun. And that's just not something I can say about every brand I've reviewed. So there you have it, the Timex Waterbury Dive Automatic in 40mm. What do you guys think about this watch? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you're enjoying the content of this channel, I invite you to subscribe. And if you like the contents of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. That's all for this time. My name is Jason, and you've been watching Just Watches.